I'm Shwa, and you are listening to Light Up with Shwa, a weekly podcast to open our hearts and minds on a journey with me. Welcome to Light Up with Shwa. This is part 2 with Isabelle Cherney. What is important in your viewpoint after all the experience and all that our children, do you own them or are you a source?
No, you don't own children.
Okay. So you're a source?
Yes.
Okay.
You facilitate their birth.
Okay.
And then hopefully you facilitate their growth in development and all this. But,
and prepare them for you or the world?
The world.
Mm.
I always said, if I can prepare my sons to be good citizens, that will, be good spouses or whatever they choose to do, then I have done my job. But no, they're their own people, their own persons.
So are you happy with your parenting so far?
Yes.
Now you are adult, you must have adult relationship with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
With older boys.
Mm-hmm.
How is that now?
It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Okay. I must say, my oldest calls every day.
Okay.
He has twins now.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you. And love the twins. I mean, being a grandparent is the best thing ever. I know people say that, but until you are, it's like, oh my God,
I keep hearing that.
It's the best thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, to see him become the father, really kind of different from his father, who wasn't there, and now as grandpa, he's there all the time. So it's completely changed.
Nice.
Yes, and he acknowledges that he's missed that piece. But it's wonderful to see them grow, become adult, see them get married and have their own families, and they will tell you what you did right and not, right?
Mm-hmm. And you hear that. You can listen to it.
My youngest son is amazing. I mean, he just tells me flat out, I don't remember anything that I did when I was younger. Now he's getting married, so he came home to look at all the photo albums that I have to take pictures for their table settings. And he said, I don't remember a thing, but I went everywhere. And he told his fiancée that he hadn't done anything when he was growing up. And she said, look at you got to go all of these places. And he said, I know. I didn't know. I forgot. But he has been very complimentary. He just said, thank you for, they didn't watch television. They, I was strict.
That's good.
But they never lacked love or...
So that's how you were spending time instead of TV? Mm-hmm. You were there? Mm-hmm. That's what you're saying? Till what age?
So they both were until 5. Mm-hmm. So when they started kindergarten, I went back to... And even when they were in kindergarten, I took classes during that time. Okay. So I brought them there. I came back home and I was with them all the time. They did not know I was doing my whole studies while they were growing up.
So that's a good thing that you did for yourself, right? While bringing your children up.
Yes.
Good. So how would you rate yourself as a parent?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Because you can be as modest or not, or exaggerate or...
You're right. We tend to rate people based on outcomes. Right. And given the outcomes, I have to rate myself highly because they're doing very well for themselves and for the community and the people around them. Mm-hmm. I know I've made mistakes. I totally own those.
Any mistakes that you can share so that others can hear it and not do it? Any?
Yeah, I think, part of it is speech. So
what do you mean by speech?
my oldest, the more difficult one. The younger one was so easy. I didn't. He just developed himself almost. But the older one, being a little bit more difficult, I would speak to him, but not enough. I think what I noticed is when we moved to Switzerland for a year, and they went into the local school then, and I was worried because he was 4.5 and still didn't really speak. So he was a very late
So
speaker.
you didn't speak much with him?
I did speak,
but not enough.
but I felt not enough.
Okay.
I didn't elaborate and told him, long stories and stuff. It was pretty
to the point.
Yeah, and I
no
knew
conversations.
No, there were conversations,
Okay.
but it's hard to converse with somebody who doesn't
Want
say anything back, right? So in some ways, I was reacting to him all the time, right? So he would just look at something and go, and I knew what that meant. I should have known, but I didn't. Tell me in words what that means, and I would tell him what that means, But I think I could have done better at that. So when he went to kindergarten, and I went to observe, because I was worried that now he had French on top of English, and English was not much present. How would that do? Actually, it developed both fantastically, so it was the best thing ever. But I didn't know. I was really worried. I saw her talk to the kids and just say how much she talks about everything all the time. Now, I'm an introvert, so I don't speak as much, generally speaking anyways. But she was just explaining everything and going all over the place. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's probably what I should have done. Okay. And maybe his speech would have developed earlier. I don't know. Okay. But that's one piece that I picked up and say, oh wow, maybe I should have said more things about, describing or rehash, sort of the things we did during the day and what he felt about it and so forth. I see that, some of my friends tended to do that with their daughters, and the daughters replied right away. I don't know if, being a male. Anyways, that's one piece that I probably could have done better.
Okay. So, well, if they turned out good, then that's what matters too, right? We all do mistakes. We don't know. We are not born with the parenting manual, as we say. Mm-hmm. But do we really know how to be a parent? Doesn't matter in which nation, which country, which region are you talking about. Do we really put the effort other than reading a book or two? That is not everybody. So for me, I think that's a very crucial, problem and issue that is in my mind, and I hope I can bring awareness through this podcast and our conversations, but at the same time do something about it. So that's it.
Yes.
All right. So listening is important, I guess. An aspect
Crucial. Yes.
During your parenting your children.
Yes.
And otherwise as well. I'm sure you are a good listener. Yeah,
that's probably my number one strength.
Oh,
is listening.
Wow. Okay. I was going to ask you, what do you like about yourself?
I'm a good listener. I think because I'm curious, I like to hear what people have on their mind, where they're going, and then I like to draw people back together to work on a sometimes complex problem to solve together. And I sit back and I watch how it unfolds. So I'm pretty good at sort of getting people together from different backgrounds, different viewpoints, and so forth, and trying to figure out how can we surmount these differences and see what we have in common, and then move together to a better place, so to speak. So it sounds very lofty, but so many. It comes back to the point of wanting to make the world a better place, and you have to listen to people to understand their perspective. It's all in a context, and if I don't understand the context, I won't be a good solution. There won't be a good solution. So it takes a while to put your shoes into this other person's, or your feet into this other person's shoes, because you have to have, a level of empathy. You have to have the patience of listening, and sometimes it takes many, many, many meetings before you start to get a little bit of. And I don't want to be presumptuous and say I will know what you're thinking or doing. That would never be the case. But you get a little piece of information that maybe will help to bring that person to the table, or help them in some ways. And I think that's part of why I became a dean, it's really a lot about listening. And
so listening to students or to the staff or
everyone. The students typically, when they come to the dean, it's either because it's not a good, something happened, or they're outstanding. I rarely see the in-betweens, unfortunately. I try to go out and, meet them where they are and so forth. But my day is mostly filled with meeting at all levels, or with constituents and partners in the districts, or all over the place. So a lot is about listening, and then my brain is very associative. So I will remember so and so said this. Oh, and now so and so says this. I need to bring these two people together, and then they can work out whatever they are both interested in X. Oh, let's put those together, and then they work out and go on. So kind of a relator, right? So I relate people together to work on things. But you have to listen carefully and intently, and remember what people say. And quite frankly, with age, or with so many people in my life, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I might have, somebody said this, but who was it?
Yeah. Because there's so much information.
Yes.
It's not only, I don't think it's the age or anything, it's more of a overload.
It's an overload, and so many emails, and so many
things to attend
to, from so many constituents and stakeholders.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can be, but I try really hard to remember who they were, my students, even, those I had like 20 years ago now. And, that's the beauty of the networking, right?
So how long have you been in this position or in this area?
So in this position, it's 2 years and some months. I started in March of 2016. And before I was really at Creighton, where I started as assistant professor, ended up as professor and associate dean of the graduate school.
So you have been teaching for 20 years? Approximately?
Approximately.
Yeah. And in the field of education?
Mostly psychology. So anywhere from memory, intropsych, statistics, research methods, gender, my research, to leadership, and I created an EDD program. So I was teaching some of the dissertation classes and the first sort of intro class, reflections and leadership styles. So very wide range, cognitive psychology a lot.
So does that mean that you are a good, what do you call, test? No, you just can, when you meet people, you can tell?
I'm not a clinician, so that's the difference, right? I'm an experimental psychologist, so we do experiment to figure out, how people think or those types of things, versus the clinicians who will look at sort of abnormal behaviors.
Well, no. Let's say from your experience, like you have people experience and then to psychology. So
yeah, I mean, maybe it gives me a sense of
little edge on
an edge on understanding the context in which behavior happens. That it's not, it's not the innate piece that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the situation that causes some of the behavior. Because we act differently if we are in front of X or Y, right? You're always your daughter, the daughter of your parent, to your parents. So you act differently if you're in with your parents, or you act differently as a parent. You act differently in other contexts. So I'm interested in that sense. And so I think what it has made me less judgmental, more open maybe to different interpretations of life and why people do things. I'm really not judgmental. I try to be as, neutral. I have to laugh because of Switzerland, but, it's really kind of that. So I don't take things personally anymore. I used to. It takes a while to get away from that. Because people don't get up in the morning and say, I'm going to make Isabelle's life miserable today, right? I mean, that I don't think so. So it's other things that they come in through my door because something is bothering them, or they have some good news to share or something. And so it's my job to bring that out and figure out what it is and how I can help.
Very nice. Thank you. All right. Okay, so how do you think people can have a good relationship, or
Well, a good relationship, I think, no matter what. So I met my husband on one day, and I knew I was going to marry him. That evening, I told my friend.
That's interesting. Was there anything what made you decide that?
I think, just to give you a little background, he came in with one of my best friends at the time, and the best friend and I used to go out and make fun of Americans.
Okay. Well,
tourists.
Okay.
But he would always say, the person that I really appreciated the most and have lots of respect for was my physics professor. And so he talked about him in many ways, always in a very sort of respectful way. Mm-hmm. And then when I was leaving to go to London, I had this big party. He came and he said, "Oh, I'm bringing the professor along. I met him in Geneva, blah, blah, blah." So I said, yeah, bring him along. And so I think in my mind I had this person that my friend respected, and he happened to be this 27 gorgeous guy. And in my mind it was a 50-year-old, kind of different person. And so part of it was, wow, I know a lot about this person, all positive, and whoa, and he's good looking. Mm-hmm. Not that matters, but, first impressions. And so I was just, like what they say, it's love at first sight kind of piece. At least for me, and for him it took a couple more days.
Okay.
And then it went pretty fast. We both it just clicked. And
since you have been together?
Yeah, we just celebrated 33 years.
Wonderful.
15.
Wonderful. So what's the key for a good relationship? Let's start with that.
It is communication.
Really? What is communication?
It is to really, truly be yourself, mm-hmm. and be vulnerable in the sense that first you have to get to know yourself, which is not easy. And then as you unfold these layers, we all have tons of layers from childhood, from all kinds of ways, different cultures. He's not from Switzerland. Totally different upbringing. And once you have children together, if you don't agree on how to raise them, if you don't agree on where to live, what to do, where your goals are together, that's really hard. I was lucky that we totally agreed on how we raised our children. We agreed on all the big, like buying a house. We would go in and that's it. We'll buy this one. Moving to the US. And you both
were always aligned?
Yeah, always aligned.
So
all the big decisions we made in really fast.
But did you talk about it? Or did
we talked about it.
But, or did you just know?
We knew.
Oh, wow.
We knew.
But that's rare.
It's rare.
Isabelle.
It's probably rare.
Rare.
But that doesn't mean that you don't work hard at it.
Okay.
You have to remember what that spark was in the first place, right? What is it that you like in this other person? Because there are days where you don't. And, having the shampoo open again after you tell them, 100 times, it can get to a point where you just don't want to.
But that doesn't really matter, right?
It doesn't really matter, but at that time, it does, right? It's annoying. It's annoying. Is he listening to what I have to say? But I think over time, you also start to appreciate truly who the person is and not what the person does necessarily, right?
That's the good differentiation.
And you have to keep that in mind. And there's no perfect person out there. You are annoying to them.
Say that again.
There's no perfect person out there.
Okay.
And you are just as annoying to them in your type A, whatever it is that you do, right? So you have to keep that in mind as well and talk about it. Say, this is really annoying, but it's me. I start the conversation with, I find this annoying. It's not, you do this. Because otherwise you're deflecting the problem to them and they're going to be defensive. So you really have to learn that conversation on how to say things.
So were you both in good position to communicate when you started? No. Okay, so you both put effort in it?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Oh, yeah. No.
Do you think there is an aspect of respect, doesn't matter what?
Yes.
Is respect important?
Absolutely. Because people can get really angry and say things that hurt. And words can be just as hurtful as physical. And I sure hope nobody has to go through any physical abuse.
Yes.
But verbal abuse is just as hurtful. It just doesn't leave any marks on the body. But no, it's a long-term relationship is the one piece you have to work on all the time. It's not just a given. Similar with parenting, right? I mean, the hardest part with parenting is to be consistent all the time. And how many times are you going to say no? And it's still going to be no. But just as children need these boundaries, adults need to understand the boundaries. Because if you cross too many times, it may not work out. But both
so did you have your boundaries? Each of you had your own boundaries?
I think so. Yeah. But it definitely, I think we're not unusual in ups and downs where things go well for a while and then something, you're tired, you're overworked, you're just But
at the end of the day, now that it's like, okay, are you still close? You're like, okay, this is the person I want to be with at the end of
I think for me, my love has grown from what it was before.
And what about him? We'll talk about him separately.
It's true.
Okay.
It's true. I think we're much closer now than we were 30 years ago.
Yeah, that shows the foundation has been good and you have been putting right, fertilizer or food into the plant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you have to cut back on your ego, on your, again, it becomes personal, right? In that relationship, it's different.
Thank you for watching part 2 with Isabelle Cherney. I hope you have watched part 1 as well. And stay tuned for part 3. Thank you for staying with me through this exciting episode. Please don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode of Light Up with Shwa.